Hello everybody, we're going to be looking at our endless scrolling game and how we can make it collide with the edges of our um, road or river or whatever it is that we're racing along in this endless scrolling game. And I've made two sprites already. You can see that I have sort of two bumper sprites, and I haven't drawn them particularly beautifully or anything. I just got a couple of rectangles that roughly fit over the sprite that I'm using for my vehicle. And don't worry if they look ugly, because they're going to disappear. They're going to vanish, will become invisible during the course of the playing of the game. So you'll notice that I have a left bumper and a right bumper sprite. And these will detect collisions with the color of the thing that's on our edge. And I should mention that they are offset from the center. So here's the right bumper, and I've zoomed in fairly far. So I've just drawn the bumper sprite just to the right of the center mark for the sprite. That way, when I tell this sprite to go somewhere, this will be the location it goes to. So if I tell this bumper to go to the vehicle, it'll always go on the right of the side, because this center will line up with the vehicle's center point, and then that will push it on the right. Same thing with the left one, except that, of course, I'm putting it on the left side. And it doesn't have to be exactly perfect, and you can always edit it and move it around to adjust it as you go. But before you do that, you'll probably have to see some of the code and try out the code, and then that will show you if the costumes are in the right place and drawn to the right size. So I guess I'll start with the left bumper. So this bumper sprite, part of the trick is going to be making it just always go to the vehicle sprite. So what I can do is I can get a loop going on so that I am forever, or the left bumper is forever, going to the vehicle. And I can choose a go to block here and tell it to not go to a random position, but go to vehicle, whatever your sprite is called for that. And if I turn that on, you'll see that it sort of sticks with me. Kind of, you can see that it doesn't quite perfectly stay on. There's a little bit of lag there as I move around. And it looks pretty goofy if I move fast enough. But don't worry about it too much, because as we move, later on, those will turn invisible, so you won't really see that lag. And I don't think it'll cause very much. Like, you won't really notice it in gameplay. So it's pretty good. So now that we have it locked onto the vehicle, what we can do is check for collisions. So a collision is basically uses a sensor, and there's a bunch of different sensors. So for example, I can check to see if I'm touching the color that's my boundary. So I can update this color by clicking on it, and then I could either pick the color, but that's pretty hard because I don't remember the numbers for this, or I can click the eyedropper and just select the color I want, and there it is. And of course, this shape of block goes inside of an if statement. So I can ask, if I touch the boundary color, what do? Well, I can bounce off of it. So remember, this is the left bumper. So if the left bumper collides with the wall, it's going to want to send me to the right. So all I need to do is sort of set my Vx variable, the horizontal velocity, to a positive number. So the left bumper collision, sets Vx to a positive number, because that's how number lines work. A positive number means we're moving to the right. So if I hit left, I want to bounce to the right. And I'm using set, not change, because I want it to be an instant bounce. So no matter how fast I am moving into the wall, it's going to bounce off and hit at 5. There's another way to do this, and that's to times Vx by -1, which flips it. So if you're going in really hard, you'll bounce off really hard. And I'm tempted to do that, but I think this is a good starting point, and you can experiment with that if you wish. So this is looking pretty good, and I guess the only thing I'm missing is I want to make it invisible. But first I'm just going to test it out and see if it works. So I'll press green flag, and I'll run into this side over here, bump, 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 like I keep hitting it, and I just get bounced off. Go over onto this side. I'll try and bounce off that thing. Sure, looks like it's working well. Okay, so I'm pretty happy with that. For the other bumper, this is basically the exact same code, except if I hit the right bumper, I want to bounce left. So I'm in the right bumper now, so I want to make it bounce -5. And you're also welcome to make a front bumper or even a back bumper. There would be a third and fourth sprite that would change VY to bounce off the front. But for now, I'm not going to worry about that. I'll leave that for you guys to try out. Oh, look at that. It bounces pretty good. Bomp. Bomp, bomp. I'm like, bouncing in between all the different things. And it feels pretty good. I'm not able to get my sprite to go over onto the ground. I'm stuck inside this lava river. So that's good. All right. Now, last but not least, we're going to turn these invisible. We're not going to use hide and show because if it's hidden, it can't detect colors. But if it's ghosted, it can detect colors and other collisions as well. So that's one advantage of being ghosted. So for the ghost effect, we're just going to do the set effect, and we got to select ghost, which is the last one, and 100 means completely invisible. So when we start this script, I just want the ghost effect to get set to 100 so it is invisible and we don't see the bumper. So if I press green flag now, we'll still get the same action, but the bumpers aren't visible. So it bounces, crashes into things, and moves pretty nicely. So there you go. That's detecting collisions with bumper sprites, and I think this is probably satisfactory in terms of the gameplay. You'll get some weird, like, I don't know if you just saw, like, I'll try it again. Whoa. If I hit straight on to the island or something, or straight on here, like I end up going through the wall a bit. So you might want to also add on a front bumper that detects collisions and knocks you back in terms of the Y, and see if you can make that happen. Okay, so there you go. That's bumpers.